Welcome to Cinema Hounds, a Lorehounds podcast. I'm Elysia, and this episode is part of our Oscar season 2026 coverage. Please do listen to the kickoff episode that David and I did about a week ago with a preview of the 10 Best Picture nominees and other surprises, snubs, and stats. And before that, though, I did also do two sort of unofficial solo episodes about short films. This episode today completes that trilogy, but this time I will be joined by Brandon from ShortStick to discuss the three categories of Oscar-nominated shorts: animation, documentary, and live action. I'm happy to say that 5 of the short films I recommended in the Oscar qualifying shorts for Lorehounds episode did go on to get an Oscar nomination, so we'll be discussing them again today. And I did also, the second shorts episode I did was dedicated to all the long-listed BAFTA shorts. So 5 of those have now been nominated as well. Congratulations to the 3 Best British Short Animation nominees, Cardboard, Solstice, and Two Black Boys in Paradise. And congratulations to the 5 Best British Short Film nominees, Magid Safar, Nostalgie, Terrence, This is Endometriosis, and Welcome Home, Freckles. There will be a special coming out just after the Spirit Awards air next weekend with a preview of all the feature nominees for the BAFTAs, and also one before that for the Spirit Awards. In both of those, I will highlight the movies that were not nominated for Oscars that you might also be interested in, and just fill you in on what all the players are in the games if you want to follow along with those awards, and also our watch parties for them on Discord. Stay tuned at the end for more information about that. But today, again, we're talking official Oscar-nominated short films: Best Animated Short, Best Documentary Short, and Best Live Action Short. Without further ado, okay, and I'm here with Brandon from ShortStick. Hey, Brandon, welcome. Glad you could join us.
Hey, thanks for having me, Elysia. Yeah, I love what you guys are doing at the Lorehounds. You have like a great network of a wide variety of stuff. So it's great to be on here and talking about shorts with you.
Yeah, and you were a recent addition to our Discord, so hope to see you more there. But you, ShortStick, you have a blog and a podcast. I think the name and the fact that you were here on this episode suggests a little bit of the subject matter, but do you want to tell us about ShortStick?
Yeah, well, I created ShortStick just because I was kind of looking at shorts for the Oscars and everything and noticed a lack of coverage compared to other categories where you'd have these sites like Variety and The Hollywood Reporter being like, predictions in every category, and then they would just leave out shorts kind of thing. So I was like, there needs to be more of a voice in this space because there are a lot of really good short films out there if you seek them out. So yeah, I created ShortStick with a few friends, and we go to different film festivals, whether it's virtually or in person, and kind of watch what they have to offer and talk about the best shorts that we feel are at the festivals. And yeah, we also recently started up a podcast where we interview directors and kind of talk about our Oscar predictions for the shortlists and everything. So it's not super regular. It's more sporadic as for when we have content. But yeah, we have that as well, that it can be found on Spotify.
And regular listeners might not be able to believe this, but I think you watch even more movies than I do.
Yeah, I don't know about features, but yeah,
shorts definitely.
Every short film that I can kind of get my hands on to watch, yeah, I'm watching it.
How far in advance were you done with the shorts categories for these nominees?
Well, for the nominees, when they came out, I still hadn't seen The Three Sisters, and I think we'll talk a bit about why when we get there. But yeah, it's like shorts are kind of weird because they don't have like a set release date where they like go into theaters. It's a very long process of festivals, can play up to a couple of years before the Oscars. So I think the first one I saw was Jane Austen's period drama, and that was back in May of 2024, so almost 2 years ago now.
Wow.
And I also there's other ones like Bad Hostage was an IDA nominee. not this past IDA Awards, but the one before. Perfectly Strangeness was at TIFF in 2024. So there's lots throughout 2024 that kind of make their way into the 2025 season. So it's kind of difficult to say, like, what is a 2024 short? What is a 2025 short? It's
Right.
it's just kind of depends on when they qualify, which has a completely different window than regular features and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and here's hoping that some of the hundreds of shorts I watched this year qualify in future years as well then. Um, but do you want to run through quickly, how does a short qualify for the Oscars?
Yeah, so there's a few different methods. The most common one, I would say, that probably over 50% of the shorts go this route is if you win a qualifying festival award, which the Academy has a list of which festivals have these awards. You then are allowed to submit to the Oscars. Not all of them choose to, most of them do. And then the other two routes are putting it in theaters for a week in one of, I believe it's 6 US cities that you can do that in. And the third one is just 3 shorts in each category. Qualify this way, but through the Student Academy Awards, if you win gold, silver, or bronze, you are then eligible to submit to the Oscars. So, I think as far as timing goes, the rule is something like within it has to be done within 2 years of the end of production. Is
Okay.
what I think the technical rule is, but yeah, so you can have stuff from 2024 definitely qualifying for the 2025 Oscars and winning in 2026.
Yeah, I was noticing that there was a BAFTA nominee this year that was dated 2022. It's like, wow. Yeah, that's been out there for a while.
Yeah.
Why would people not submit to the Oscars? Because it costs money?
I think so. A lot of them, I think, fear that they don't have the money to run the campaign anyways,
Mm,
and don't bother with it. Like there was I've never asked the filmmaker why she didn't
right.
submit, but like Passerino, I don't know if you saw that one this year. It's
Mm-mm.
played the Manhattan Festival, which is one that kind of goes in theaters across the country and automatically qualifies all 10 of the shorts playing in there. And so she was qualified. I thought it was a great short, and we were kind of like, oh, like this could maybe make some waves at the Oscars, and then just didn't submit kind of thing. So
Mm.
I think there is a lot of money that needs to go into the campaigning and paying for PRs, all that kind of stuff. So if you're not willing to, some filmmakers, if you're not willing to go all in like that, then you don't.
Okay. Well, we're going to be talking today mostly about films that did submit for the Oscars, or maybe entirely.
Yeah.
um, and so we are specifically, of course, going to be focusing on the 15 nominees across the 3 shorts categories, though we reserve the right to shout out to others as we go. The order that we're going to discuss these in is we're going to start with the animated shorts, then move on to the documentary shorts, and then wrap up with the live action shorts. And there will, of course, be separate episodes for the animated and documentary features, and we might shout out some of these shorts then too. But today we will be talking through mostly those 15 films. For each category, we'll be doing it in alphabetical order. So let's jump into animated shorts. And I have to say, good news for this year. This is a new thing that some of us have had access to. Actually, last year, my guest on the animated episode was Benoit from Animation Showcase, and this year, actually, there is an opportunity for everyone to watch shorts on Animated Showcase. The way that you do it is that you create a free account on deathracetracking.com. That is a website that I've shouted out in the past that is, David is always talking about oscarsdeathrace.com. He likes the simplicity there. I have to say deathracetracking.com, more my bag because there's more options and goes a bit further with more data and everything. But it also got a complete makeover this year, looks completely different. And if you create a free account there, you can follow instructions there to also sign up for Animated Showcase and Animation Showcase. And there you can watch not just the nominated shorts, but I believe, also the shortlisted shorts as well for the Oscars.
Yeah, and previous years as well. If you're
Hmm.
interested in taking a leap back in time a bit, there's some really good ones over the years that are still on there that you can check out.
Yeah. All right. Well, so let's talk through the 5 nominees just to rattle them off quickly. Are Butterfly, Forever Green, The Girl Who Cried Pearls, Retirement Day, and The Three Sisters. So starting at the beginning of the alphabet with Butterfly, or in French, Papillon. This is a 15-minute short directed by Florence Maillet. And the plot is a man swims in the sea. This brings back memories. They are all connected to water, from his early childhood to his adult life. This will be the story of his last swim. And how do we talk about this without spoiling it? What do you think?
Yeah, like what I'd like to say about this one is that the medium really matches the story, where
Mm-hmm.
it's painted by hand, and the paint flows kind of like water flows, and it dissolves
Mm-hmm.
like water dissolves, and the paintings are never like super precise. It's a lot about memory, and your memories are never crystal clear as like when they actually happen. So I think the medium is like intentionally not super precise and dissolving, kind of like memory does, goes in and out. So it's one where I really appreciate the medium used to describe a story that is based off a true story, and is yeah, I think it's very powerful.
Yeah, we'll say it does get, at some points, you realize that it is a more serious story than it initially seems at first. So, yeah, we are going to hold off on spoilers for this as much as possible. But I will say this one, if you are listening at the time this is released, look in the show notes and there is a link to YouTube. Now, I can't guarantee how long that link will stay up. A lot of the shorts that have been nominated, especially, have had their links taken down. But for now, you can watch it on YouTube. All right, let's move on to Forever Green. This is a 13-minute short directed by Nathan Engelhart and Jeremy Spears about an orphaned bear cub who finds a home with a fatherly evergreen tree until his hunger for trash leads him to danger. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I like the animation on this one. It's very like tactile and wooden, kind of mixed with like kind of your computer 3D type stuff. Personally, it wasn't my favorite of the two
Mm-hmm.
animated bear shorts that
Mm-hmm.
were on the short list, but I still really do appreciate this one and enjoy it. Yeah, it's a solid story.
Yeah, I'll say that you mentioned of the two bear shorts, the other long listed bear short was Snow Bear, directed by Aaron Blaze. And that one you can actually find on YouTube right now. And I know that a lot of people were hoping that that would be nominated, but we got Forever Green, which is another cute bear short.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's the thing. It's very cute, and maybe that will make it easy and appealing to people. We'll see. We'll see. The next one is actually one of my personal favorites, The Girl Who Cried Pearls. I actually talked about this in the Shorts for Lorehounds episodes. This, or La jeune fille qui pleurait des perles, 16 minutes long, directed by Chris Lavis and Maciek Szczebowski. And this is a haunting fable about a girl overwhelmed by sorrow, the boy who loves her, and how greed leads good hearts to wicked deeds. And it plays out the production design. The production design is beautiful. It is a stop motion animation. I think so there's not really animated faces, but they do really interesting things with the body animation. And I just was very into the aesthetics, and the story got captured me, and I liked the ending a lot. What did you think of this one? Were you also a fan or no?
Yeah, I was luckily able to see this one at TIFF this year on the big screen, which is
Oh,
always like
nice.
a real treat to kind of see it big. It's supported by the National Film Board of Canada, so I have a bit of a attachment to this one, just being Canadian myself. But yeah, I think it's a really interesting children's fable. It kind of uniquely blends like a 3D animation for the facial expressions
Mm-hmm.
into stop motion puppetry. So this is kind of like a short that does it all animation wise, where like you said, the production design is great, the story and screenwriting is great. It tells a very like a tale that has like consequences kind of thing, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I really love the adventure that this one takes you on.
Yeah, it does a lot in 16 minutes story wise, I'll say. It feels like, if you had it hazy in your memory, you could almost think, what, that was a feature, right? But no, 16 minutes, the whole story.
Yeah, so true.
The next one is one of my very favorites, and maybe my favorite to win. Let's see. Is Retirement Plan, a 7-minute short. At apathy with his life, Ray dreams of the beauty of joy he will find in his retirement. And this one was directed by John Kelly and narrated by Donald Gleason. It used to be on the New Yorker YouTube channel, but I checked just before recording and they've taken it down.
Oh,
what,
really?
yeah. What did you think of this one?
Yeah, I think that this one is like one that's really easy to relate to for anybody. I think we all kind of just, are worried about what are we doing with our life, what is to come, and everything like that. And it's kind of one that where like the Academy is full of filmmakers who are a lot of them no longer making work, and I think it's kind of existential in a way that'll cause like you to think like, yeah, what have I accomplished in life? What do I
Mm-hmm.
still want to accomplish? And like kind of like almost a feeling of procrastination as well, where you're like, oh, I'll do that in 5 years from now, and I think it's just a really great commentary on that with the animation throughout just kind of changing. I love this one too.
Yeah, this was one of the ones also in my shorts for Lorehounds episode. And it was one also, I showed it to my mom when I was visiting over Christmas, and she loved it so much. She sent it to all of her friends. Of course, they're at an age where this is especially relevant. But I think it doesn't matter how old you are, just it connects with that inner longing to just make more of your life, to have more energy, to and the realization of what's important, like how do I prioritize what actually matters rather than a bucket list of never ending to-dos.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, that brings us to the last one in this category, the slightly controversial at the moment one, The Three Sisters, 15 minutes long, directed by Konstantin Bronzit. And the plot is three sisters live a lonely life on an isolated island, each in their own small house. One day, circumstances develop in such a way that they are forced to rent out one of their houses. And you said that this is the one you watched last. You said for reasons we discussed. Do you want to get into that?
Yeah, so the filmmaker throughout his festival run did not use his name. He's a filmmaker, Konstantin Bronzit, who has been nominated several times in the category, and he decided as an experiment to not use his real name. So when I was seeking this one out beforehand, I was googling the fake the fake name, trying to find information on this director
Right.
that doesn't actually even exist. So it's kind of funny that way. But yeah, it played festivals, it submitted to festivals, and I think it was like sort of two pronged. Maybe the first reason more like important to him than the other one, but he wanted to see how his work would do if his name wasn't attached to it. And
Mm-hmm.
the second reason is he is a Russian filmmaker, so
Mm-hmm.
um, whether there's bias against films that are coming from Russia, and he's kind of said that if that was like truly the only reason that he was doing it, he would have just gone with a production company that has no Russian attachments, and it would be fine. So it was kind of an interesting experiment for him, and his films still seem to get there based off of merit. So yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. So he said that it was from Cyprus, and that he submitted the name Timur Kognov, which when you look at it, it's they're on this island that looks like, oh yeah, that looks like something somebody from Cyprus would make. Um, I do understand to a certain extent that people want to punish everyone from Russia, and I don't have any indication that this is a person who needs to be. I've seen some of his other animated shorts and things like that, and he seems like an okay dude as far as I can tell.
Yeah, for sure.
And I have to say, I quite like the short. I was very surprised by it because it seemed so simple, and I thought it was like, oh, this is just going to be another cutesy whatever. But I was very engrossed in the story.
Yeah, it's a simple story, but it works, and there's little moments that'll have you chuckling, kind of like, "Ah, I see what he did there," kind of thing, and yeah, it's cool animation with like kind of almost looks like it's like kind of cut out and paste on there, and
Hmm.
I enjoyed this one too.
Yeah, and the cinematography was great too. How it shows this passing of time without, it uses the camera well in relation to the animation to do reveals and to also there's just like there's funny little details like something will happen and you'll see the aftermath of that on the shore of the island just as the short goes on. I quite liked it. Out of these five shorts, what are your personal favorites and who do you think might win?
So I think Retirement Plan might win for the reasons that we discussed, where I think it's highly relatable. I do think that my favorite would probably be The Girl Who Cried Pearls. I
Mm,
was kind of looking at historically what the Academy's kind of gone for, and the Academy at large just doesn't go for stop motion
mm,
animation. Like if you look, I only went back to 2015, but if you look at every single winner, um, not a single one of them are stop motion animation. It's all like 2D, 3D, computer generated, that kind of thing. So you look at even last year, like there was a Beautiful Men and Wonder to Wander that were both excellent in stop
hmm.
motion and didn't win. And so yeah, I think that Retirement Plan is kind of a good mix of the animation that they go for and a story that is relatable.
And I think also the Donald Gleason factor adds a certain cachet that makes it seem like a bigger film. Um, yeah, no, I agree. I would love for Retirement Plan to win, and I do. It would be the one that I would predict, but I would also be very happy for The Girl Who Cried Pearls to surprise us.
Yeah, and we've never seen a animated like documentary short win, so it'd be cool to see Butterfly be the first one to do that from recent kind of memory. Anyways, usually the documentary like animated hybrid shorts don't really do that well, so
Hmm.
it'd be great to see that one kind of break through with that.
And do you have any other favorites that didn't make the nomination but were on the short list or nominated or longlisted for the BAFTAs?
Yeah, one thing that's interesting this year is that this is the first time the Academy at large was allowed to vote on the nominees, where
Hmm.
previous years it was only the animation branch that could vote on the 15 shortlisted films to make the five nominees. So I think that probably hurt a bit films like Playing God that are
Mm,
like a more
bit
kind
more
of
grotesque.
typical,
Yeah.
yeah, in typical of like the animation branch is not afraid to get like weird. You see like with
Hmm.
things like last year, like I mentioned, the two stop motions, Wander to
Hmm.
Wander and Beautiful Men. And
Both Dutch.
I think that was like kind of the thing that kind of gets hurt, or like the Night Boots, where
Hmm.
this one wasn't necessarily like widely popular, but with the pin screen animation of it is just so cool that I think that like the Animation Academy probably really respected that, where the story didn't really relate as much to the general academy. So I think those two are also like very excellent. What I kind of found weird about this category as well is that Miu, usually the distribution company, usually dominates the category. They had three nominees last year. They had two nominees the year before. All three of theirs missed this year in
Wow.
Hurricane, Shyness of Trees, and Autocar.
Mm,
So those all three of those missing were a bit of a surprise to me. So yeah, I would say like Playing God and Snow Bear that we mentioned are two favorites of mine. And then one that was relatively lesser known was one called Two Ships that I really liked.
okay.
Did you see that one?
No, I didn't.
No,
I'm.
it's neat where it's about a couple and one works the night shift and one works the day shift, but it shows kind of what they're doing in the room at the same time, where it keeps half
Oh.
the room light, half the room dark, and it's kind of just like the unspoken communication between the two. Like they're two ships in the night, but they're still like doing things to help each other out kind of at the same time, and it's kind of showing like one like putting the dishes into the dishwasher at night and the other one kind of taking them out in the morning kind of thing, and
Mm-hmm.
how there's like kind of an unspoken communication there. So I really enjoyed that one too, and it was qualified, but unfortunately missed the short list. But yeah,
Oh, I have to look that one up. I'm going to add it to my shorts for this year. Um, Yeah, you mentioned Playing God was the Frankenstein-like one that I talked about in the Shorts for Lorehounds episode, and Huracan was you also mentioned. I talked about that in the same episode. That's the one with the Czech one with the guy with the pig head who's trying to impress a bartender and fails miserably. Yeah, so I was quite fond of those as well. I also really liked Autocar that you mentioned, which is about it's with a bunch of anthropomorphic animals, but it's a little girl who's going on a bus trip and in this sort of imaginary journey within a journey that she goes on during the trip.
Yeah, BAFTA nominations just out today, and I was personally sad not to see Overreacting make it. That was
Mm-hmm.
that was probably my actual favorite animated short of the entire year. I forgot to mention that one, but yeah, it's part of a trilogy, and it's the second installment in it. And the first installment I know is available on the YouTube for sure by the New Yorker. Have you seen the first installment of it?
No, I guess. Well, I guess not. What is it?
It's called Night of the Living Dread, and
Oh.
the director Ida Mellum is just able to create these stories that are just so relatable. Like this one's kind of about like it's a bit about insomnia, but it's also kind of about like when you're lying there at night and just thinking of all of the embarrassing things that you've done in your entire life, and kind of it manifests physically. And it's kind of a tale to like learn to have grace with yourself, learn to like embrace those previous and be kind to those previous versions of yourself. So it's a really good one, and I thought Overreacting was just as effective. And she says she's
Mm-hmm.
working on the third part of the trilogy, but she has very unique character design. And yeah, I was the first one in the trilogy was actually nominated for BAFTA 3 years ago, I want to say, and so I was surprised that they didn't nominate this one again. So that was a bit of a shocker for me.
Yeah, that was also Overreacting was definitely one of my favorites as well. I talked about it more in the BAFTA Shorts episode, which is linked in the show notes. But it's another stop motion animation one with the sort of textile finish to all the characters, which is great. But it's also it's something that so many women who have gone through their 30s can relate to in terms of anytime you are anywhere with older, like especially relatives or family friends or things like that, or yeah, that people, especially at a sister's birthday baby shower, people just always want to know, when are you having kids? When are you having kids? When are you like, get off my business? And so this one says all that very nicely with absurdism and a little bit of music. So yay, loved Overreacting.
Yeah, a little bit of song and dance there, so that adds some oomph to it. And yeah, I thought it approached the topic really cleverly that anybody can relate to. So yeah, it's a really good one.
Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts about the animated shorts category?
No, not really. I think looking at the five, I don't know if it's like I would say that it's the best picture of animated shorts as a whole this year,
Mm.
but there is a lot of like kind of variety there. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's a good group of films. I think it probably the nominations could have been a bit better. I think the documentary and the live action a tiny bit more than this one, but yeah, the not to say that any of the animated short nominees are bad, but yeah, I think they missed out on some really great ones as we discussed. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, despite them missing out on great ones, I'll say that this is my second favorite batch of the nominees we'll talk about today. Where my favorite batch is the live action, and the documentary ones. They didn't necessarily go with the ones I would have picked. So
All right.
we're going to take a quick break here. When we get back, we're going to jump into the documentary shorts. What did get nominated, and what do I think should have been? See you on the other side. Okay, so welcome back. We are going to talk about the documentary shorts. Now, content warning for all the traumas of the world, of course, but if you hang in through the heavier stuff, you will be rewarded with donkeys. Um, so the five nominated shorts in this category are All the Empty Rooms, Armed with Only a Camera, The Life and Death of Brett Renault, Children No More, Were and Are Gone, The Devil is Busy, and Perfectly a Strangeness. So let's start alphabetically with All the Empty Rooms. This is a 34-minute short directed by Joshua Seftel about a journalist and a photographer set out to memorialize the bedrooms left behind by children killed in school shootings. And you can watch this one right now on Netflix. What are your thoughts on All the Empty Rooms?
Yeah, this is a really emotional one. It is one that I'll say that I did cry through,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a hard one to talk about without getting super
Mm-hmm.
emotional about it. I think they take a very hard topic and do it justice, where they focused solely on the empty bedrooms of these children killed in school shootings, and they don't give like any power to the name of the shooters or who the
Mm-hmm.
shooters were. It's all about the children and finding healings for those family through pictures, and I think that's just really beautiful. And yeah, I saw this one at TIFF as well, and the director is somebody that you guys. If you've been watching the Oscar nominated shorts for a while, might recognize. He did Stranger at the Gate back a
Mm-hmm.
couple of years ago, Joshua Seftel. So
I liked that
yeah,
one.
yeah, so it's he has kind of a history in the documentary short category, and I think they do a really great job of not being like exploitive at all, or in just like kind of giving power to healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it is a well composed short in that way. I think it's what there's a category. There's a lot of documentaries where I just always personally have the feeling like I'm not the person who needs to see this most. It's not telling me anything I don't know. So I am glad though that this one. I'm glad that it's nominated, and I'm glad that it's on Netflix because I do think it's one that a lot of people need to remember that at the end of the day, this doesn't come down to politics about gun policies or things like that. This comes down to children whose lives are lost. And ironically, this is not the only one that's going to be about that in this category.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so moving these, like we said, these are the last, especially last one is there's donkeys coming. Okay, but second,
Yes.
this is the second one is maybe my favorite of the nominated ones, at least one of my top two. Armed with Only a Camera: The Life and Death of Brent Renault. It is 39 minutes long, directed by Brent Renault and his brother Craig Renault, and by that I mean, obviously, as it implies, he has passed away, and that's what this is about. But it's also about his legacy as a person who's gone around the world capturing, in a video journalistic way, all of the many tragedies happening everywhere and recording them and forcing people to face them. And so he there's a lot of his footage included, which is why he gets a directing credit, and his brother is the one who posthumously pulled it all together. So to summarize it, on March 13th, 2022, filmmaker Brent Renault was killed by Russian soldiers, the first American journalist to die while reporting on the war in Ukraine. His younger brother and collaborator Craig recovered Brent's body and his final recordings from Ukraine and brought them back to their childhood home in Arkansas. As Brent's journey to his final resting place unfolds, the film chronicles the years he and his brother spent covering some of the world's most dangerous conflicts. And this one you can also watch right now. It is on HBO Max. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this one is incredibly sad,
Mm-hmm.
and the I think it's going to be very relatable as to like current events, just with it says a lot about journalism as a whole right now, I think, where like the press, like wearing a press vest used to like mean something, and now it's almost like
A
a
target.
target on your back, because you look at like events going on in Iran right now where they're not trying to let any information out whatsoever, and the journalists are like almost kind of like the enemy of progress and getting the information out to the wide masses. And yeah, it's just like, I think just with the state of journalism right now, it's going to really touch a lot of people to kind of see the work that he did and what he had to go through in order to get his work out to people.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose a lot of listeners know that I have a background in journalism, not this type of journalism, but I often think about, in a different timeline, this is the life I pursued. And I think about how unknowingly happy my mother is that I didn't. Um, I'm going to cheat here and I'm just going to read my letterboxed review because I put it best there, I think. I said, I will always think of that hope punk moment when a recent amputee recovering in a hospital bed, gesturing with blast skinned fingers, tells him, "You and me together, we can change the world." Sorry, getting emotional. This one hit hard because the life and death of this man and so many others like him is a story of someone who plunged themselves into the world's ugliest and most heartbreaking realities to make sure the rest of us would not look away. The best we can honor his and his colleagues' sacrifices to humanity is to keep looking, never look away. So that's why, it's hard to talk about these documentaries.
Absolutely.
And the documentaries being selected obviously reflect there are fuzzier documentaries out there. We will talk about one at the end. um, but the reason these heavier ones are being selected the past couple years, well, I think that's apparent. People want to talk about what's going on in the world. And this is, and I saw some people commenting that this one was too disjointed, but I didn't mind that at all because it was just about the through line story is about one man's quest and how that quest reflects on so many other people to show everything, the dark sides of humanity that we want to ignore and sweep under the rug and forget about.
Yeah, and when you're like putting together like a collection of random footage without the person who shot it, it is going to
Mm-hmm.
be a bit naturally disjointed in that way. And like I don't see a problem with that either.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it doesn't get any cheerier because the next one is called Children No More, Were and Are Gone. This one's 30 minutes long and is directed by Hila Medalia. What it's about is in Tel Aviv, activists gather weekly to scream their opposition to the genocidal war in Gaza with a silent vigil for the children killed by Israel. Their protest, considered a betrayal by many, is an act of defiance that calls to confront a reality we must not ignore. So this one was available to rent, but is no longer available to rent. What were your thoughts on Children No More, Were and Are Gone?
Yeah, I like the observational nature of this one. There's not a lot of like interviews or the director physically like injecting her opinion into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much filming a movement that is going on in Tel Aviv, and I think it is a voice that is needed. A lot of these documentaries that you're seeing about the situation are filmed in the Gaza Strip or in Palestine kind of thing, where this is kind of like taking it to the center of Tel Aviv and showing that, like, yes, there are people in the city standing against this genocide. And she kind of just like silently films the protests going on, and just you see how different people are reacting. You'll see some people to kind of stop and look at it. You'll see some people are trying to argue with these people, yelling at these people, and you kind of see a bit behind the scenes of how they're choosing these places and their moments to do these protests strategically. So I think it's really neat, kind of as an observation. Obviously, that's going on is incredibly awful, and it's really difficult to see these children's faces on a poster. So it is, again, yes, another really hard one to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, one of the faces on those posters could be Hind Rajab, who obviously we're going to be talking about in the international section. So this is, there are a lot of movies about this conflict. Obviously, a lot of movies about Russia and Ukraine, a lot of movies about Israel and Palestine, and this is one of the ones that made it through. And I think this one making it through just shows that at the end of the day, it's what is connecting with people and what is making people most horrified is seeing the faces of these children who will never get to become adults. Um, Yeah, it's like I said, this is the second one. It does share a thematic similarity in a lot of ways to All the Empty Rooms, the first one we talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the next one is actually it's heavy, but it's an easier watch in a way. It's called The Devil is Busy, and it's 32 minutes long. This one is available on HBO Max, directed by Crystalline Hampton and Geeta Gandbir. And I have to say that Geeta Gandbir, I hope I'm saying her name correctly, she is twice nominated this year because she was also the director of one of the nominated documentary features, The Perfect Neighbor, which you can watch on Netflix. So congratulations to her doubly. But this short is about a day on the front lines of women's health care at an Atlanta abortion clinic besieged by protesters. The director of operations, Tracy, takes necessary risks to safeguard staff and patients. What did you think of The Devil is Busy?
I think that it's a really clever perspective that they chose to follow, where
Mm-hmm.
it's a security guard who kind of takes you through like a day in the life almost of these protesters outside the clinics, and her kind of going through and making sure that those people are protected. And it takes a really intriguing religious angle to it as well, where she is a religious woman, but she feels called and that it's her duty to be helping out these women, getting the healthcare that they need. And I think that's a really powerful perspective to be shown to these people who are against a woman's healthcare and abortion and are outside just screaming vitriol at them,
Mm-hmm.
instead of all this hate, to like kind of show love and acceptance to these people. And yeah, I think it's just a very neat perspective. It really drew me into the short.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think just the uniqueness of her perspective, the fact that we find out that these protesters, like at least one of them had burned down a black church, and she is a black woman who is showing grace to these people who are a daily aggravation in her life and threatening, they call them guests who are coming to their clinic. But she's someone who has been through relatable experiences with these women herself and understands all the complexities of the feelings they're going through, even without people shouting in their faces. And she's also a religious woman at the same time. So, yeah, she really embodies every aspect of this. And yeah, I think it was very smart from a filmatic perspective to focus on her and just a day in her life, basically.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah. Okay, we've made it to the donkeys. Perfectly a Strangeness, 15 minutes, apt title, directed by Alison McAlpine. It's this the summary is: in the dazzling incandescence of an unknown desert, three donkeys discover an abandoned astronomical observatory and the universe. A sensorial, cinematic exploration of what a story can be. And please go ahead, start us off in talking about Perfectly a Strangeness.
Yeah, I think I'm like more of a fan of this one than most people.
Okay.
Since I saw this at TIFF, and it probably helped. Like the cinematography in this one is like just top
Gorgeous.
tier, and seeing that on like a massive screen at a film
Mm.
festival is like honestly the most ideal way to see it. But it's just a complete vibe for me. Like it's a welcome contrast also to the four heavier topics here. But yeah, it's kind of the scenery around you kind of feels a bit like strange and almost alien. But yeah, this director came up with this concept while filming her 2018 documentary Celio in Chile's La Silla Observatory. She saw a family of
Okay.
donkeys grazing near the observatory's dome. And although that moment didn't make her the final cut of her film, it kind of just is an image that stuck with her. And she kind of wondered, how do these animals perceive this structure and this vast starry night above, because that's what she was filming, was the starry nights in a Chilean
Mm-hmm.
desert. And it's just kind of like a very unique perspective. And like, maybe this is too fake deep, but it feels very like relatable. We're all just like donkeys, wandering around this cosmos, wondering what's going on, kind of thing. And yeah, I think I think it will be a divisive one. I can completely see the perspective of other people who are like, yeah, this wasn't for me, but I personally, it's one of my favorite documentaries that I saw in 2024 for sure.
I mean, it's a pleasant, it's a very soothing watch. Say, yeah, there are. This was one that actually a bunch of people on Discord got to watch because they shared. What was it? The day of nominations, they shared for
Yeah,
24 hours a link. But it is one that's, and the response was on the Lorehounds Discord. The response was, yeah, that was pleasant. Like, I don't know what that was, but that was pleasant, which is unusual in
it's a
this
valid
category.
reaction, honestly. But yeah, I do think it is one that would be like helped by like seeing it on like the biggest screen possible with the best sound and everything. It really immerses you into the experience and all that.
Yeah. I mean, I think even watching at home, it is very gorgeous. It's just, I think maybe even people would have been easier with it if it was under live action. Um, but I think that, it's like, does this qualify as a documentary? Well, it's not telling anything untrue because it's not telling much at all. It's just kind of
Right.
showing the donkeys interacting with this environment, which kind of creates this almost apocalyptic feel
Yeah,
because we see no people or anything.
yeah, the director after the screening and the Q&A said like this is a docu-narrative is what she called it. So
Okay.
it's like kind of half in, half out of the documentary and narrative categories. So you could kind of see this as a bit of category fraud, I suppose. But yeah, they placed it in the documentary category.
Right.
So there we are. So.
Did she say anything about how it was filmed? Because the tagline says putting a GoPro in a donkey, but some of the shots were drone shots or from specific angles, and it almost felt like there had to have been a human following.
Yeah, for sure. I think there was something like that. I can't remember if she specifically mentioned anything to
Hmm.
do with that, but
Okay.
yeah, like you said, there's all these different perspectives. So there was I don't know if they maybe just kind of took the drones up close and kind of just watched them wander, or whether there was somebody up there in personal filming them. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's I loved it.
Yeah. So, what are your personal favorites from these five, and which do you think have a shot at winning?
I think like maybe I'm off base with this, but I think all the empty rooms is kind of a lock to win the
Mm.
category. I think it's
Hmm.
just going to touch the most people, and yeah, I don't necessarily think it. I think of the five, my favorite, and I don't know, favorite is like kind of
Right.
a odd term to use with any of these, given the subject matter. But I think the most Children No More Were and Gone is the one that I think I would consider the best of them. But like I
Mm.
said, it feels awkward even using those terms
Right.
and comparing tragedies and all that kind of stuff. But like
Well, it's about the filmmaking. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
if I had a vote, I would vote for Children No More Were and Gone of the five of these.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It seems like all the empty rooms is probably going to take this. If not, I would say maybe The Devil is Busy, which I quite like. That would be my second place after The Life and Death of Brent Renault. So that would be, yeah, my opinions about those. But there were definitely, I have to say, a lot of my favorites did not make it at all. You mentioned earlier Bad Hostage. That was definitely one of my favorites. That's about the so-called Stockholm syndrome, and it talks about. It's from the perspective of one woman in general, but also comparing her with the original Stockholm syndrome case and Patty Hearst, and just about where when you are in a situation where the police actually make you feel more afraid than the person who's supposed to be the quote unquote bad guy. I just found that really, yeah, interesting in how women are treated when they don't just defend the police and say, hey, they were the good guys, when they actually say out loud things like, you were threatening the lives of my children and no thank you. So that one really touched me. Um, yeah, I have a couple others, but what had stood out to you amongst the other shortlisted films?
I agree. I thought Bad Hostage was maybe going to make nominations. I feel like the nominations were like pretty chalk as far as like the ones that we thought would make it, but
Except
except
Perfectly
for
Strangeness.
yeah,
That was
that's
a
what I was going to do.
surprise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
except when it came to Perfectly Strangeness, and I think that kind of took the spot of either like Bad Hostage, which I think is really well edited, uses the interview format of documentaries really well, and is maybe kind of the most standard, but like also intriguing that way. And the other one I thought might make it, not because I liked it, but because of his history in the category, was
Hmm.
Heartbeat. And I was like, I'm glad to not see it on the list and not have to discuss it too much. But
Hmm.
yeah, and the other one that I thought might make it, I didn't personally connect with it, but I thought it would connect with Hollywood a lot, is All the Walls Came Down, which
Mm.
is about the LA fires. Kind of like the after effects and the community of it. And I thought the Academy might really relate to that. But yeah, I have a few favorites that didn't make the short list, but I don't know if you want to talk more about the short list first.
I'll just shout out to my other two favorites on the short list real quick, which is Classroom 4, which you can watch on PBS if you're in the US. And that is about, I am definitely a sucker for any programs or documentaries about programs that are about getting people who have different life experiences in the same room together and to learn from each other. And this is about students and prisoners studying basically the the theory around incarceration and around abolishing the jail system and just discussion of just incarceration in general, having a whole class about it with this very empathetic teacher. So I enjoyed that. And the other one, I think I'm kind of alone in loving this other one, but it's called We Were the Scenery. That one actually, if you go on the free part of Festival Pro, that one is available till February 22nd. But We Were the Scenery is it's about a couple who were extras in Apocalypse Now, the movie. And so they talk about their experience there. They call the director out, what's his face, for the way he eats mangoes, which is very memorable. um, and it doesn't just stop at their experience at being extras on Apocalypse Now. Um, it's about just their life in general in Vietnam and how all this is all wrapped up together. So it touches on a lot of different things, and I don't know, that one really worked for me.
Yeah, I remember I was looking back at like my chat with my colleagues on ShortStick, and I said right after we had put out our predictions before shortlists were announced, I think we're underrating We Were the Scenery. Like it's a really solid one. It's kind of like has that kind of filmmaking history in it that the Academy really likes to hear facts about, but also has a really personal touch to it. So.
Yeah. And I just want to shout out, by the way, the BAFTA nominees for the shorts. Again, I have a separate episode where I talked about all those. Unfortunately, Neil Armstrong and the Langholmites was not nominated. That was a cozy doc that I was hoping to see get some recognition. But what were your other favorites you wanted to shout out?
Yeah, I'll just kind of choose one that's like a more feel good one, and one that's
Okay.
like kind of fits the narrative of the other four. But the feel good one that I really liked was Shanti Ride's Shotgun. It's just kind
Oh
of
yeah.
looking at like a driver's ed teacher in the car, and she's just kind of like it's just really fun. I don't know really how to explain it, because she's like not your typical driving instructor, and
Mm-hmm.
she's like kind of crude, but she's like there for her students and everything. So yeah, I thought that one was a ton of fun. It's just like an 8-minute watch. It's available, I think, on Vimeo right now. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then the other one was the silver winner for the Student Academy Awards. It's called Confession, and the filmmaker talks about her experience of being sexually assaulted by a priest, and she
Mm.
actually goes to confession and confronts the priest and kind of has it all on camera. So, well, not on camera, like sound, like you hear
Mm-hmm.
their conversation and her approaching him, and kind of like the amount of courage it took for her to kind of confront her abuser. And yeah, it's a really powerful one. And yeah.
Okay, I've not seen that one, so I'll have to add it to my list. Did you have any final thoughts about the doc shorts category?
No, I think it kind of like I said, except for Perfectly Strangeness, kind of like went with the bigger, more
Right.
prevalent topics, which is kind of what you often expect for that. So yeah, nothing
Yeah,
really
as
else
much
to
as
say.
I wanted to see Bad Hostage, Classroom 4, or We Were the Scenery in there, um, it is a solid final list, and I don't mind Perfectly a Strangeness because at least it's something different. We Were the Scenery is also different, just saying.
Yep.
All right, let's take a quick break here again, and when we get back, we'll talk about the final category, my favorite category, live action shorts. Okay, so let's get into the live action shorts. I think this was unexpectedly a great list of nominations, just because I think, we often, we talk a lot on the Academy of Death Racers Discord about there's all this naysaying or pessimistic predictions, I would say, where people are like, the ones I hate are going to be the ones nominated. So I was pleasantly surprised how much I really like all five of them that were nominated, including two of my very top rated and others that were really high rated by me as well. So I have nothing negative to say about any of these five nominees, which are Butcher's Stain, A Friend of Dorothy, Jane Austen's period drama, The Singers, and Two People Exchanging Saliva. So, starting at the top with Butcher Stain, 17 minutes, directed by Meyer Levinson Blown. And the story follows Samir, an Arab butcher falsely accused by his manager of removing hostage posters, forcing him to fight for his job and innocence amidst rising prejudice. What did you think of Butcher's Stain?
Yeah, like you said, I think there was like of the shortlist 10 that I really loved and 5 that I did not, and
Mm-hmm.
all of the nominees are from that 10 that I really loved. So all of these are, I think, are great choices, and Butcher Stain is one of those, and it was a bit surprising to me to see it make the nominations, not because it's it's not a good short. It's the fact that it got silver in the Student Academy Awards. And I'm sure we'll mention this kind of like in our honorable mentions section, but Dad's Not Home got gold in the Student
Mm-hmm.
Academy Awards. And it's the Academy that's voting on these Student Academy Awards. So it's kind of weird to see it like Dad's Not Home win gold, Butcher Silver gets Butcher Stain gets silver, and then Butcher Stain is the one that ends up in nomination. So that was
Yeah.
kind of a shock to me on that front. But I do think has a really good message to it that's just anti-hate and
Mm-hmm.
anti-Arab hate and against prejudice. And it comes from a perspective of the filmmaker who went to Tel Aviv or who still goes there. I'm not sure if he's graduated yet to Tel Aviv University, the film school there. And yeah, I think that it just has a really like simple but strong message. It knows what it's doing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's one that can be a frustrating watch in an intentional way. It's about it's impossible not to feel empathy with Samir when you see from his perspective this entire situation, the accusations where that are clearly just being drummed up by prejudice, and then by it turns out that what was his name? Near, right? Is the character's name was played by the director himself.
Yes.
And well, I won't say too much about him, but it's just you don't know who his friends are in this or who is out to make his life more miserable. And then when you see what it all comes down to in the final frames, what caused all of this in the first place, you're just like, oh my god, people are so infuriatingly stupid. And yeah.
Yeah, and just the repercussions for it and everything. And yeah, it's the final, I won't spoil anything, but the final scene where he's kind of just like packing everything up, you're just,
Mhm.
and with the reveal there, you're just like, oh, it's just very frustrating, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah, and the fact that he keeps his mouth shut, like, he's a bigger man than me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, moving on to one that's, I think it's one of the lighter, more fun ones. A Friend of Dorothy, 22 minutes long. This one was directed by Lee Knight. And the plot is Dorothy is a lonely widow whose body is failing, but her mind remains as bright as ever. When 17-year-old JJ accidentally kicks his football into her garden, he upends Dorothy's daily routine of pills, prunes, and crosswords, and an unlikely friendship blossoms. Despite being worlds apart in every way, the two come to find they have more in common than they could ever imagine. And this one is on Disney Plus now. What were your thoughts on A Friend of Dorothy?
Yeah, for me, this is like really a comfort short. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not one that you have to think too hard about, or you kind of just sit there and enjoy the blossoming friendship that's happening in front of you. I think the acting in it is really great. Miriam Margolyes is plays the elderly woman in this, and
Right.
some of you
She's
might
great.
recognize her from as Professor Sprout from the Harry Potter franchise, and then the young actor in it. Pardon, I don't have his name in front of me here, but Alistar
Alistair Nwachukwu? Not
Yeah,
Nwachukwu.
yeah. He is excellent in it. And yeah, it's just like I said, a comfort short. Just really, really goes down easy. And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was expecting to see this on the BAFTAs list rather than here. So it was a bit of a surprise to me that it showed up on the Oscar side rather than the other, but I can just, it's a very likable short. Yeah. As is the next one. The next one is one of my absolute favorite shorts of the year. Jane Austen's period drama, 13 minutes long, directed by Julia Axe and Steve Pinder. And this is set in England, 1813. In the middle of a long awaited marriage proposal, Miss Estrogenia Talbot gets her period. Her suitor, Mr. Dickley, mistakes the blood for an injury, and it soon becomes clear that his expensive education has missed a spot. And this one, I did talk about this one more extensively in the Shorts for Lorehounds episode. But what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this one I really like to say it's a punny delight. I love the names of all of the characters in there, like Estrogenia, and it's just so funny. And yeah, I think they always like. I like the fact that in the live action shorts, they'll go for certain genres like comedy or horror a lot more than they will with other categories in the features. So yeah, this is a really great comedy that they've chosen to nominate.
Yeah. I just have to read off the character names. So we have Estrogenia Easy Talbot, Mr. James Dickley, Lavinia Talbot, Vagiana Talbot, Mr. Father Talbot, Mrs. Bitts, Dr. Bangley, Barty the Footman, Juliet the Housemaid, Rebecca the Washerwoman, and Dirty Drunk Gardener. That's the cast.
Yes, it is a wonderful cast, and the director Julia acts in it herself. They're kind of known for doing. She's kind of known for doing comedy sketches in the past, and kind of writing with Steve Pinder there. So yeah, they put together something that I think everybody will get a chuckle out of at some point throughout the runtime. And yeah, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Jane Austen fan in general, and that it definitely extends to parodies thereof. And this just nailed it. It nailed it in, production design, costume design, and it nailed it in the tone, but in a way, with the twist, with the making it a spoof.
Yeah, it nailed it in the commentary on periods in general, and
Sure.
how men sometimes react to them and everything. So
Yeah.
and yeah, it's
So
great.
men,
It's so clever.
listen, this is a man who likes it. Don't be afraid of this short.
No, absolutely not. Embrace it. It's great.
Yeah, you need to know about period diarrhea. It's real. um, so yeah, but this one, I would say one of the nice things about this one is that comedies struggle to get recognition at the Oscars. So it's really nice to see a comedy on this list.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I think it was kind of there was two comedies that were made the shortlist, and I definitely think they picked the better of the two comedies. So I was happy with that.
Hmm. And this one is in the US, you can find it through Canopy if you have access to that. I know in Sweden it's on UR Play, not sure about any other countries. But yeah, keep an eye on, you'll find the link in the show notes where you can see where it's going to be showing up next with the info and everything, and the trailer, of course. And that brings us to The Singers, another one that I talked about in our Best of Lorehounds episode, 17 minutes long, directed by Sam Davis, based on a Russian short story from the 19th century, but very, very loosely. It's about a man who walks into a bar, and then what unfolds is a genre-bending short film inspired by a 19th century short story written by Ivan Turgenev, it has the same name, The Singers, in which a lowly pub full of downtrodden men connect unexpectedly through an impromptu sing-off. What are your thoughts on The Singers?
Yeah, who doesn't love an impromptu sing off,
Mm-hmm.
honestly? But yeah, I think if there was like this is the first year that the Oscars has a casting award, and I think if there was a casting
Mm.
award for short films, I would give it to The Singers because Sam Davis, who is like known for his cinematography, and the cinematography in this is just unreal. But he's kind of done Sean Wong's cinematographer for DD and
Mm.
a short. Nene and
And
Weipo
mm-hmm.
that came out a couple years back. But yeah, this is him directing, and yeah, he kind of cast the whole cast off of viral videos of like singers in like the subway stations and like just all these complete unknowns other than like that they've been seen on like a viral video, and got them all together, like these like kind of more gruff looking men, and you kind of don't even expect the voices that come out, and kind of just leads to a big grand finale. And he kind of like took his documentary filmmaking a bit with this too, where he kind of just like let them. It was a bit of like, hey, just start talking kind of thing about whatever. And there wasn't necessarily even a script for some of it, I believe. So it's just a really neat kind of just like chill in the bar with these guys and watching them sing. And it's a really great short.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this is one that's like Perfectly a Strangeness. It's all about the vibes, but you do get a singing show along with it, and it's great because yeah, all of these men each have like a different style, so it's a really nice sampler platter of musical moments. Um, it's just a very pleasant watch, I would say. It is one that the death racers are pulling out their hair over right now, but word on the street is, and actually confirmed by their PR people, it is coming to Netflix, but we do not know what date yet. Fingers crossed it's before the Oscars.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
I'm sure will be. You think of like
yeah,
Anuja last year, where it came out before the Oscars on Netflix. So I'm,
it
I'm
would
sure they.
behoove them to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's coming soon. So hold on, and I think you'll be rewarded with a really pleasant short to watch.
Yeah, and only 17 minutes. Future editor Elysia here, checking in with some good news. The day before this episode is released, Variety released an official announcement that The Singers will be added to Netflix on February 13th. So mark it on your calendars. But it's one I could watch on repeat. And the only thing, like, is I just wish I could. I mean, I guess I can go on YouTube and find them, but I want to hear more from all of these singers.
Yeah, yeah. I think the cast list is there, and if you are that intrigued, I go on YouTube and kind of see the singers, and maybe then once if you're listening to this and you watch the short after, you'll be like, oh, that's that guy that I heard,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So you can kind of, if you're eager to do some pre research to this one, to go in and seek out the performances.
Yeah. And okay, that brings us to the last one, which is my favorite overall short this year. Two people exchanging saliva, deux personnes échangeant de la salive. 36 minutes long, directed by Natalie Mustieta and Alexandra Singh. And it's about in a society where kissing is punishable by death and people pay for things by receiving slaps to the face. On Jean, an unhappy woman, shops compulsively in a department store. There, she becomes fascinated by a playful salesgirl. Despite the prohibition of kissing, the two become close, raising the suspicions of a jealous colleague. And part of me is like, is that too spoilery of a description? It's the official description, though. What did you think of two people exchanging saliva?
Yeah, this one's brilliant, honestly. It has great acting, well-known European actresses. You might recognize Vicky Creeps, who does the voice for it, Zara Amir Ibrahimi, who is in big international films like Holy Spider, if you saw that, or
Mm,
Shada. And then you have also Luana Bajrami, who's in the Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
mm,
So all these like kind of really talented actresses in this really absurdist society. It has great cinematography. I love the hair and makeup too, like the bruises on the faces, kind of thing.
mm.
Not to spoil too much, but
Right.
yeah, it's all these crafts coming together to create this like story that honestly, like I hope gets made into a feature because it's just. Um, so neat, this world that they have created.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep comparing it to saying that people who are fans of Yorgos Lanthimos and Wes Anderson that they would especially like this, but it is still very much its own unique world building. And I really appreciate that aspect. I really appreciate the sharp black and white cinematography and how they did the production and costume design to really emphasize that with the sort of graphic patterns, things like that that they used. And I mean, the actresses are great, the chemistry is great, and the story's chilling overall. Yeah, don't want to spoil how it ends, but you can find out for yourself if you watch it. As at the time that we're releasing this episode, it is still up on the New Yorker YouTube channel, so I'll link to that in the show notes. This is the longest of the live action shorts. This is, you might have noticed, yeah, the animated shorts are always the shortest, and the documentary shorts are always the longest. And this is documentary short length, but it really it fills the entire 36 minutes in a way that you think it could have even been a feature, but it almost feels like a feature in smaller space.
Yeah, I think like the rules of the world are so intricate that you need that time to be able
Hmm.
to explain it all and to be able to see what's going on here.
Yeah, well, I'd say that the 36-minute runtime is a bonus, not a negative. Yeah,
Oh,
it
absolutely.
definitely gives you more of this to enjoy because I think you need that long to really sink into this world.
Mhm.
So, what are your personal preferences amongst these five predictions about the winner?
I think my personal preferences and like the predictions like come down to the same two shorts and
Hmm.
the last two that we talked about and the singers and two people exchanging saliva. I think it's kind of a two-horse race there, and I think two people exchanging saliva probably has the a tiny bit one up on the singers. It has a lot of really prominent executive producers attached in Julianne Moore and Isabelle Huppert. Um, and yeah, I think there's just something in two people exchanging saliva for every single craft body to kind of like check off. The cinematography is great. The costume design, like you said, is great. It'll get the costume designers voting for it. The production designers will love it. The hair and makeup people will appreciate the work done there. So I think just all these crafts coming together um, to create what like I feel is a masterpiece in short film. I think that hopefully the Academy feels the same way and it'll let it win. I
Hmm.
also like really love the singers. It is something that's like more completely up my alley. I realize, and I don't know if it'll have as broad of a love from the Academy as two people exchanging saliva, but yeah, I think like also with the Netflix support and in the singers,
Hmm.
Netflix generally does pretty well in these short categories. So yeah, I think I feel like as good as the other three are, that it's a a 2-horse race between those two. But again, shorts are very hard to predict what will happen, so we'll have to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I keep saying Two People Exchanging Saliva is my favorite. I do think it feels like the most complete movie in a way. Like I said, it's a very complete story. Um, and I do think that it is the favorite to win. I could definitely see the singers sneaking up on it. There is just a lot of love for that short. And as you say, with Netflix coming into the picture, that could change the game a bit. I wouldn't mind if Jane Austen's period drama jumped in there and surprised us. Like we said, comedies are always at a disadvantage here, so it is a win to see this short nominated. But I think for me, it's a perfect short. It just has, in only 13 minutes, it manages to do quite a lot. So those are definitely, yeah, I'd love all five of these nominees. I also, it's interesting that when I look at the ones that didn't make it, a lot of them are on the heavier end. And this is one that didn't necessarily zag in the heavier way, like the especially doc category did. For example, Beyond Silence is a Dutch short about a deaf woman. I also talked about this in the shorts for Lorehounds, but it's about a deaf woman who is looking for an ally in a Me Too moment, more or less. Um, or as you mentioned, also Dad's Not Home. That was a really great one. The one you said won the gold at the Student Academy Awards. That is about um, a father who has some sort of dementia, and his sons are trying to hide it because they don't want to be taken away and put in child protective services, or put in a foster home. So that was a really a tough one. Or Extremist, which is on the YouTube channel, New Yorker YouTube channel. That one is a sort of fictionalized retelling of a true story of a woman who she happens to be a lesbian, and she was doing casual activism in terms of leaving notes in the grocery store about what was going on in Ukraine and what's being hidden on the Russian news, and she ends up being arrested for it. Yeah, were there other favorites of yours amongst the shortlisted ones?
Um, like you said, Beyond Silence, I think, was one of my favorites of the year. I was kind of shocked to not see it make the list. I don't even know which of the five I would replace it with, to be honest. But it's I think that the acting in it is just incredible. Having these three different performances that are all uniquely great in different perspectives, and you have somebody from like the older generation who didn't have this Me Too movement behind her, and you have someone who's just trying to advocate for herself, but is limited due to the fact that she's deaf and has her sister, I believe, there helping her communicate and helping be a great advocate for her. So I think the three of them bounced off of each other really well. I thought that one was excellent. The Pearl Comb, I thought crafts-wise was next level. I would have loved to see that one in there too. And like you said, Extremist. I think those were like the three that didn't make it that I was just more kind of rooting for. But like I said, I'm not even sure who I would take out in turn of those. They're all just very, very great shorts.
Yeah, the Pearl Comb, I've that's the one that I've talked about the most in various episodes. I talked about it after the Imagine Fantastic Film Festival. I talked about it in, the Oscar qualified shorts for Lorehounds. I talked about it in the BAFTA long list episode. And so it's surprising to me that it didn't make either the nominees for the BAFTAs or the Oscars. But I suppose, you and I had a conversation before where you kind of warned me. You're like, genre films. This is the mermaid folk horror one, by the way. Yeah, I was still surprised not to see it there because we see like two people exchanging saliva, but I suppose it's a difference. As you say, there's a lot of big names attached to that one as well.
Yeah. There's I wish there was a little more transparency of how the process worked and how they come to the decision on the five. But it's one that I think would have just been great to make it as well.
And also shout out one other from the short list that I think I enjoyed more than maybe a lot of others, which is Pantyhose, which is kind of a surreal a surreal short about a couple that's getting ready for some event. And it's not only ambiguous what the event is, but they keep saying all these contradictory things where it's like, are they going to a wedding? Are they going to like a court hearing? Are they? And it doesn't really matter where they're going. The point is the petty, stupid arguments and how they get caught up in their own, you know, they get distracted by things and they get mad at each other. And then I think a lot of couples will find it depressingly relatable, but I kind of thought it was fun. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
what you meant by the other comedy?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And like it's all right. Like I didn't hate it or anything like
Hmm.
that. But yeah, I definitely think like I found Jane Austen's period drama personally to be the better comedy of the two.
Sure.
So I'm glad to see like kind of like a comedic representation of short films there, because I find a lot of short films kind of like it's a good almost like as a like a one liner where you can put out like a 10 to 15 minute short and just be like kind of around a certain situation and be really funny. So a lot of short films do that, and so I'm glad to see that representation in there.
Hmm. I will, by the way, put just quick links, a list of quick links to these other shorts that we're shouting out, just in case anyone hears something they like and wants to learn more. Um, I want to congratulate the BAFTA nominees in this live action category on the fiction side, and which will, of course, go directly against the documentaries in the BAFTAs. But the fiction ones were Magid Zafar, which is the one that I called kind of like the bear. It's, it's like the bear because it's set in a kitchen, but it's also very frenetic. And then there's a stillness where the human drama plays out. So definitely, I talked about that a lot more in the BAFTA episode. Nostalgie and Terrence, I also talked about them in the BAFTA episode. But what did not make it from the long list that I really enjoyed, the Pearl Cone again, and Blondie, which is a sort of pseudo documentary where, from the perspective of Hitler's dog, with some sort of absurdist inserts, newsreels in between about the like pet fascism, basically. And I think that it is a surreal and grounding take on Hitler, looking at him through through the eyes of his own dog, through everything. And I guess I won't spoil in this episode, at least, what happens at the end of that. But if you know history, you already know. Um, and then the other one, Wonderwall, I also really loved, which is about a young girl who is just looking for a way to watch Oasis. And she ends up going on an adventure in the middle of the night in her small town in northern England. Were there any others you wanted to shout out in general?
Oh man, there's so many from this category that I could talk about for hours. Just to rattle off a few, I won't go into too much details about them, but One Day This Kid, I know
Oh,
you
yeah.
talked about it in your
Hmm.
episode. I thought like that's one that I saw at TIFF in 2024. It's just kind of stuck with me ever since. I kind of explain it to people like it's almost like Moonlight meets After Sun, but it's kind of like
Hmm.
culturally different from Moonlight for sure, but just more in the way it structures itself. So if you like those two movies, I would definitely suggest that one. It's on the Criterion Channel. A Bear Remembers, which I think is just like a very like kind of folktale-y story as well, and like
Mm.
I love just like kind of the scenery it sets with the mist and just the kind of commentary on change over the years, and thought that one
Great
was great.
costume design for the bear.
Yes, absolutely. I was like, I love everything about that one. And one that I was looking at the letterbox for today, I saw that you've seen. I don't think you're as high on it as what I am. I would say it's probably my favorite short of the year, but
Okay.
it's very much in my style. But Nervous Energy,
Okay.
which if it feels like I sometimes like to pair shorts with features that are like
Hmm.
if I had this feature, what short would I pair with? And like as far as best picture nominees this year, I feel like it would pair well with Marty Supreme, where it's like
Mm.
somebody who has a lot of drive to accomplish something and is a bit chaotic and in their decision making. And it's like I love chaos inside of a film, and I think it's very well edited that way. And yeah, I'm a huge Nervous Energy fan.
Okay. Um, The one last one I'll shout out because I was really surprised it didn't even make any long lists or short lists or much less get nominated is The Second Time Around, which is a sort of soft sci-fi short that I've talked about it a few times by now, but it is just a really pleasant but bittersweet look at nostalgia, love, all these. Yeah, it's one that is also. I don't want to spoil where it goes, but it is just a lovely little light sci-fi look at memories and romance, I suppose.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed and shocked not to see that one make either Oscars or BAFTA. I thought it would at least hit on one of those, but we had predicted it we kind of thought, oh, second time around might be like the Oscar thing with the connection with Steven Spielberg and everything, and then A Friend of Dorothy might be more of like a BAFTA thing, and it turns out that we were completely wrong. But
Yeah.
you never know.
You never know. I just looked up Nervous Energy. I watched that a while ago, so I didn't remember it well, but I give it 3.5 stars. I see you gave it 5, but I
Yeah.
liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's solid, but
It was your favorite. Yeah.
It was my favorite of the year.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on the live action shorts or shorts overall? Because this is our last category.
No, like I said, I think they did a really solid job of this. I think the last couple of years you're seeing like more of the ones that I think the general short film community feels is better making it, than less of the ones that were like we kind of mentioned earlier that you're predicting because you think it's not that as good and you're questioning the Academy's taste. But I think they're starting to make more solid decisions, especially this year, which is good to see.
Maybe opening it up wasn't all bad.
Yeah.
So what's going on ShortStick? What you were just putting together your 75, was it top shorts of the year?
Yeah, we did a top 75 shorts of the year, and it's a whole article. If you're interested in reading like short descriptions, we have links where they're available. You can check some of those out. Not all of them are available, unfortunately. We made a little montage video as an end of year thing just for fun because we like making lists. I don't know, it's a fun thing to do, and I think it's like there's 4 of us who write with ShortStick, and I think it's a really good blend of our very, very different tastes. But yeah, it's that's there on the site. We have on our podcast, we've been interviewing a lot of the filmmakers we talked about today. So if you're wanting more an in-depth perspective from any of the directors, I think we've probably interviewed 7 or 8 of the nominated directors. So you can check that out. And yeah, we'll just kind of continue with festival coverage throughout the year. We might softly cover Sundance and kind of go from there. We're always kind of just doing it. It's kind of just a vibe. We just figure it out as we go.
Well, that's our world too. Flying by the seat of our podcasting pants.
Yes.
Well, I will put in the show notes, there will be links to obviously all of the nominated shorts. I'll also put abbreviated links to the other shorts that we mentioned. And of course, above all that, the links to the ShortStick blog and to the podcast feed on Spotify. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. And yeah, hopefully we'll get to do this again.
Yes, you added so much extra context for these. I knew that you would.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again to Brandon for that excellent conversation. And I hope we've left you with plenty enough short films to chew on. You can make it part of your morning routine. That's what I do. But there will, of course, be much upcoming coverage of feature films as we get closer to March 15th when the Oscars air. The next episode, kicking off this coming week, will be a Spirits Awards preview. This is, of course, for the Film Independent Spirit Awards, the biggest American independent film and television award show. And Since I'm a member of Film Independent, I was able to vote this year. So I will go through what was nominated and what I voted for. And you can basically consider this a catalog of movies for Lorehounds listeners. I will be especially focusing on the films that did not get Oscar nominations that you might otherwise miss. And then next week, there will be 2 more episodes with first with Lisa, aka Red Zippy, where we talk about production design, costumes, and hair and makeup. That one's already been recorded. It was a delightful conversation. And then later in the week, there will be an episode dedicated to the international films with special guest Mexican film critic Hector. On Sunday, February 15th, that is when the Indie Spirits Awards air, and this airs on YouTube, so super easy to watch wherever in the world you are. It'll air at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on February 15th, so you can watch along with us on the Lorehounds Discord. Just watch the award season channel for more information about that on that day. And then right after the Spirits on the 15th, I will do, like the Spirits episode, I'll do a BAFTA feature nominees preview. So I already did the shorts. We're going to talk about the features now. The BAFTAs air on Sunday, February 22nd. Keep in mind, this is a British awards show, so they air earlier in the day than Americans are used to, thankfully for the rest of us. So that will be 5 p.m. UK time, 11 a.m. in the US, although it's possible it will be, the broadcast will be delayed in some places, maybe 8 p.m. Eastern time. I will put a link in the show notes where you can see where it is airing where you live. I know obviously it's going to be BBC in the UK. I just saw an announcement that it's going to be on E in the US, and it will be in other countries as well. And of course, there will be more Oscar category episodes each week leading up to that ceremony on March 15th. Otherwise, lots of other things going on in the Lorehounds main feed. We've got the Pit weekly coverage with David and John. We've got a Night of the Seven Kingdoms cross-feed bonanza between the Lorehounds feed and Properly Howard feed. We had some recent one-offs with the MCU versus DCU 2026 preview, and now Wonder Man coverage has just started. We're doing 2 episodes on that because David liked it so much. So I think all of you will like it so much as well. And there was also the recent VFX interview with Lee Romer and Percy Jackson one-shot for both of the first 2 seasons. And watch out for the Bone Temple coming up. We'll time that to coincide with the digital release of that movie, the new 28 Years Later movie, which is one of my personal favorite franchises. Now, Supercast and Patreon subscribers not only get ad-free access to all these episodes, they also get extra episodes each month, including a recent episode on Fargo. And in February, it's Diane Keaton month, so there's voting going on now as to subscribers are choosing which Diane Keaton film will win. And second breakfast, the topic is frozen foods. Oh, and now the music's playing. Regular listeners know what that means. It is time for our thank yous. Now, first of all, I just want to thank all of you who are listening right now. This is why we do this. We hope that you are entertained. If you are, please do share this episode with anyone else you think would like to know more about the Oscar-nominated shorts. And we always deeply appreciate a rating and review, particularly a positive one, obviously, wherever you are listening. We do always shout out our special thank yous. First of all, to our Discord server boosters, Aaron K, Tiller the Thriller, Duve71, Athena Ajalea, Listu, Nancy M, Ghost of Partition, Radioactive Richard, and Adrian. Thank you to all of our subscribers who make this worth it. But always, most especially to our top tier of subscribers, the Lore Masters, Samartian, Michael G, Michelle E, SC, Peter OH, Nancy M, Duve71, Brian 8063, Frederick H, Sarah L, Gareth C, Andra B, Kwong Yu, Nathan T, Sub-Zero, Aaron K, Dali V, Mothership 61, Gnarls, Kathy W, Listu, Jeffrey B, Elysia U, Ben B, Scott F, Stephen N, Julia F, Collie S, Il Mariel, Paul K, Rocky Zim, Jessica A, Red Zippy, the TCS, Dopamini, Catch It, Eleanor, Mrs. Tennant, AC Wilson, Eli W, Cassie K, Chumba Rooney, Catilla, Josh Liu, Paintin PDX, Corey G, Quinch, and always last, Adrian. Thank you all so very much. And do also check out the link tree in the show notes where you can find a link to our Discord. You'll also find a link to our email right in the show notes. And in the link tree, you will find links to all the other affiliates on the network, including Properly Howard, where they're kicking off a new season. In addition to part of the A Night of the Seven Kingdoms coverage, never mind the music, they are putting out episodes like Clockwork about where music meets psychology and Radioactive Ramblings, currently covering Fallout. All right. See you all in a few days for your Film Independent Spirit Awards preview. Thank you for listening to The Lorehounds. Please send any questions and feedback to lorehounds@thelorehounds.com. And check out our Supercast and Patreon feeds for ad-free access to bonus episodes. Look for all those links, including links to all the other podcasts on our networks, in the link tree in the show notes. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employers or other entities. Bye.